Hi everyone, it's Michelle Crawford here, and I'm going live in my Facebook group, Canna Curious Coaching. What's up, peeps? Hi, Canna fam. It's Wednesday. Wait, it's Weed Wednesday. I should have a joke for you. Oh, let's see. If cannabis is medicine, if laughter is medicine, and cannabis makes you laugh, is cannabis the best medicine? Yeah. That's one from my YouTube. Anyway, welcome to today's live stream. I don't know who's here. I can't tell who's around. If you are around in the group, say hi. Hi. Today I wanted to share with you my I don't know why I'm smiling so much. My UTI story and cannabis, which is like the story that got me started with all of this, if you can believe it. Most of you know if you've met me before. Hi, Michelle Crawford, and Weed Lube is what brought me to cannabis. Hey, Jax, how you doing, girl? Nice to see you. I gotta buy the StreamYard thing, which allows us to like talk to each other, both showing and stuff. I would like that a lot more. But yeah, so Weed Lube was my thing, and I didn't really intend for this to happen, but when I used it like 10 years ago, it helped me get rid of my UTIs, which were happening like chronically, like not monthly, but almost monthly and sometimes monthly. And that's very debilitating, especially when you're trying to take antibiotics to make them, to treat them and cure them, and they go away, but then they recur. So when I started using Weed Lube and I noticed that my UTIs were going away, weren't happening anymore, it really made me take note and look into, is the Weed Lube making this happen? Like, what's changing? It didn't seem like anything, but that could be responsible for it. And then I found out so much about how cannabis can help with your urinary tract infections to prevent them. Andrea asked me a question in my post, and she's like, "You're not saying that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure," as if to say that weed can treat acute happening, UTIs in the moment. No, I don't really think that it's going to work for that, especially since I've been bombarding my whole pussy with weed lube and rectally and, you know, vaping and using my tinctures, and, I still got one. So I think that it helped me prevent them. Because when you look into it, when you start looking into healing herbs, oops, I don't know if you can see this, there's so much light in here. Healing herbs for better health when you're trying to make your own remedies by Michael Castleman. See how bright the lights are? the you find out about how long people have been using herbs to heal everything. And when you realize that, the 4 billion people in the world don't have Western medicine, all of these things that we're so used to, and even the World Health Organization is saying that our pharmaceutical model is not really sustainable for global humanity. That herbal remedies and local medicine is what's going to prevail in the majority of the world, sustainably speaking. So, right, all of that kind of comes together with this topic of UTIs and cannabis. So, cannabis, I feel like in the moment of having, right now, I have a UTI and I'm treating it with antibiotics. Finally got them yesterday. And honestly, I felt a little bit much better yesterday than I do today. I feel like a day two of antibiotics, like the battle is going on inside of you. You know what I mean? And you still need to kind of conserve your energy. I felt a little bit much better last night and was able to get some sleep. I don't know about you, but those sleepless nights on the toilet when you just can't sleep, there's pain, there's urgency, it's the worst. Cannabis can help with sedation in that mode. Cannabis can help with pain when you're in the throes of it, but I don't think it's going to clear it. Jax, you let me know if you're still there and if you think cannabis can actually clear a UTI. I don't think so. I haven't had that experience, but together with your antibiotics in that stage, sure, for pain, for comfort, for maybe sleeping, and for better mood while it's happening. However, as a preventative, when you look into the herbs that work for UTIs, most of them are not like in the moment of a UTI. They work as preventative measures, right? When you're looking at cranberry juice, which is probably the number one thing that most women or even men who are prone to having UTIs take, it is a preventative measure. It doesn't really do much in the moment of your UTI, unfortunately. So this is why, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, because preventing UTIs, like anything else, like any other health issue, is much better than when having to deal with them, once you're already suffering from it. Then it's a much more intense affair, and now we have to resort to antibiotics and all of those things, right? So Jax thinks it will help with the current pain, yes, but definitely as a preventative, absolutely. Thank you, right? I got to get that StreamYard thing so we can like really talk. But definitely, yes, 100%. So uva ursi, nettle, meadowsweet, baking soda. What do these things do? And cranberry. They mostly are in different camps of doing a few different things. Preventatively for UTIs, you're looking at making your urine acidic or alkaline. That helps to prevent your these uh what are they called? Auto E. coli's, bacterias. That's what they're called. Bacterias. I was like, antibiotics. They kill what? Bacterias. That's what they call making the bacteria unable to like survive in the environment. It's too acid for them with cranberry juice or cranberry supplements that you can take, solid supplements like in capsules. And for the alkaline side, the pH is more basic, and you're looking at things like baking soda. Amanda put into the chat a little while ago, like in the other post, that she likes to use a little bit of baking soda in water and just drink it, because that will alkalinize your urine and make it so that the bacteria will have a hard time surviving in the alkaline environment. The same thing with D. manose, the same thing with Usa urvi, all of those herbs that alkalinize your urine, and that is the like urogenic, uropathic effect that they have. The other thing that these preventatives can do is make it so that your cell walls lining the urethra opening, the bladder itself, won't accept the adhesion of the bacteria to the walls. They're anti-adhesive, like they're not sticky. So the stickier your walls are, or the more like penetrable, I guess, by these bacteria, the more you're going to get a UTI. So having the preventative measure of making your cell walls and stuff like more, yeah, it helps to maintain the balance, Jax, right? Totally. Um, Helping you maintain your pH balance, absolutely. And these anti-adhesive elements to the prevention. So you can see how that's not going to help in the moment. Having anti-adhesion, it's going to help clear it. Obviously, drinking water, speaking of which, you're going to have to flush it. But, and changing the acidity or basicness of your urine is going to help. I don't know if that's going to clear it, though. I mean, once it's established. So I don't know. I've never been able to do it. I've always needed, antibiotics. So if you've had success with that and you're watching this at some time, maybe now or later, let me know, because I've never been able to totally clear it with these approaches. Prevent, yes, though, prevent, and that is the key. So I got into this UTI. It's been years, y'all. It's been years. I love my weed lube so much. I didn't think I was ever gonna get a UTI again. And I was pretty surprised to get this one. I didn't like it at all. Not at all. I'm still feeling it right now. And I just started my antibiotics, so, let's just take a puff so that we can relax, right? What's crazy is how common UTIs are, and how like women feel about them is kind of another thing I wanted to talk about, and how maybe partnered women feel about them, because like it was kind of rough. My husband, when we first started trying weed lube, and I wasn't expecting to have the UTIs go away because of it. I thought that my husband's my getting UTIs was making him kind of uninterested in sex. It was putting a downer on our sex lives for sure. Because how could he feel good about it when we're like going, we're going to have lovemaking, and then afterward I'm going to suffer and have to take antibiotics and rebuild my gut flora for like, a month. It's just not. It's not. He felt guilty, and I didn't like that at all. So I was super happy when cannabis like started making them go away, and it was so noticeable compared to not having it happen that way, right? How does cannabis work in terms of like preventing? We have so many anti-inflammatory, so many anti um, bacterial and viral and these kinds of qualities about cannabis. We do have all kinds of receptors, CB1 and 2, in the bladder tissue. So we've seen so many kinds of things where bladder spasticity has been helped by cannabis in MS patients, for example, or anybody with like a tremor disorder, where you can see tremor in the body. We see a lot of improvements in mice studies too in bladder health, in terms of urgency and frequency and all of that stuff, by decreasing the inflammation of the bladder, by decreasing its spasticity, in terms of, that's this kind of action when muscles spasm, which can make you feel like you have to go. So if your bladder is spasming, that makes you feel like you have to go, but you don't. You know what I mean? It's a spasming problem, and cannabis's effect on that is amazing. So all of that made me feel incredibly, when I found that out all that time ago, like the preventative nature of cannabis, wow, and how easy it is to use cannabis suppositories, and that's how all of this came about. Weed lube, better sex, no UTIs, and suppositories. It seems like the answer. And the DIY solution, if haven't, everybody here I think has mostly grabbed my suppository guide, but yeah, that's how I've been dealing with it all this time. I will say we did have lovemaking before without using cannabis weed lube, which is very rare for us. And I somehow contracted this thing. I don't know. It's winter here. I just got finished with the challenge and maybe I'm a little tired or something. Sometimes you can look at your immune system. It's like, well, is my immune system down a little bit? Maybe, has to be, maybe so for this to happen. Anyway, so I think that like many things, like what I try to teach people in homemade health, that the prevention is the key. Prevention in almost any disease, anything is worth the cure, right? Any time that we could have prevented something that happened to us, we really wish we did. And so what do we need to do? We can take measures to take herbs like cannabis regularly, that will help with those areas that I mentioned, being antibacterial, being being altering the pH of your urine, or helping your body resist the bacteria from adhesing to it in the bladder, urethra, and your ureter, the canal, the urethral canal. So I don't know. I am still in this, and I just wanted to share the moment with you guys because you're my people and you know my story. And it just sucks to be here again, but I'm glad to have the medicine, all of it. I'm glad to have the antibiotics, and I'm glad to have the cannabis and the other herbs too. I'm taking like demonose, I'm taking nettle, and I'm taking usi urva, yeah, or urvi, and so much water. And I'm not taking cranberry. Here's one last tip before I go. When we talk about maintaining the pH, I made this mistake, so I'll just tell you. So it's not a great idea to combine things that acidify and things that alkalinize, because they just neutralize each other out. So if you drink cranberry juice, not the solids, but for some reason I read a survey, or not a survey, a study, and they said that the solids were okay. Like you take a cranberry pill, apparently that's okay. I don't know how, but if you take the juice, the acidic way that it's going to treat your urine is not going to go very well with something like urvi, which is going to alkalinize, or baking soda, your urine. So don't combine the two. If you're going acid, stay acid, and if you're going alkaline, stay alkaline, and don't combine them. Otherwise, you'll just end up with neutral, which is like water, which is not going to help. Well, it'll help flush, but it's not the same thing as what you were going for, right? Right. Okay, well, I hope that this helps somebody. I don't know. I'm so happy to see you, Jax. Thanks for joining me. I just needed to share and get it off my chest about UTIs and cannabis. It is such a common infection. I can't believe how ridiculously easy it is to get, for at least me anyway. And the like guilt that you feel, because um all of the main problems is like, are like they say, oh, it's hygienic. You didn't wipe properly. You didn't pee after sex, or all these different things. And it's like blame the victim stuff. Well, sometimes it just happens a lot, and preventative is definitely going to be a lot easier than dealing with it in the moment. Always. Consistency, the magic is in the consistency. The consistency of the routine. It's so hard to keep these routines up, but when you fall prey to the infection, I mean, it's just such a reinvigorator to your routine. Like, nope, got to keep this routine up. Don't want this to happen. But at least we know now that, like, you can take some preventative measures before. There's some things you can do acutely. And, maybe this will be motivation to try that weed loop. Big wink. It's more beneficial than just your sex life, which is beneficial enough as it is, right? Okay, well, I don't want to take up your whole day. I just want to check in here and say hi to Jax and hi to Jennifer and to share with you about what's going on with me and my UTIs. But if you agree that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, I tell you. And if you think that little thing I made is cute, I do. Bye everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining me. Bye you guys.